Yes.
Yeah, but
Has the UN gotten better or worse over the years, or just been ineffective all the way through?
it depends, how do you measure success? If you look at the, ratio of cost and return, it's horrible.
Someone the other day was defending the actions of the United Nations and the cost of the United Nations, saying, do you have any idea how difficult it is to run an operation in dozens of languages? To which my response was, yeah, like Sheraton or Hilton or Marriott.
Yeah.
If they can do it and turn a profit, how is it that the UN is incapable of getting almost anything done properly? Well, they promised.
Well, people no longer really believe in the UN in a way they still did 20 years ago, where it was still sort of iconic as this thing that people believed in, even though there was complaints about it being bureaucratic. It seems like
I think a lot of people still see the UN as something that is absolutely essential, really vital, really important, and it means well, so we're willing to accept anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not probably, not a dream, but you can't live without that.
But unfortunately, that's not the case, because they've set up to prevent another Holocaust from occurring. And, since then we've seen half dozen Holocausts, if not more.
Yeah.
So they never again, going from Rwanda to Darfur to Cambodia, it just keeps repeating, and the UN is absolutely useless.
There was
It's a club of
case of
tyrants.
Bosnia, even in Europe. Globalization actually brought a very powerful weapon of this.
That's very interesting, yes.
To the dictatorship based on natural resources. Chavez doesn't need, any intellect in the country. He has oil, he can buy whatever he needs.
Do you know who he buys from? Sun Microsystems.
But it doesn't matter, no. Just say that he can buy. Same Putin, or Iran, or Libya. They can actually, they can conserve the political systems because they don't have this, this vibrant element which always cause, some kind of problem for dictators.
So what do we do?
well, you have to. I think that if you
Shout loud.
Shout loud.
What else we can
well,
do?
the technology that I think really would help things is if you could solve resource problems, because that would, if you could break the monopoly of all the resource dictatorships, solve the energy problem, solve the other resource problems through technological means, that probably would shift tremendous amounts of power towards economically and politically free countries.
Yeah. So you have to give incentives for all countries to become more, advanced technologically, which means they have to sort of grow up with their own intelligentsia.
But that's tied up.
I used to in the 1990s. I was extremely optimistic about computer technology, transforming it, where if you simply made things transparent, it would change things. And I still am mildly positive on that. But I think there are all these ways in which the technology can also be used by governments to stop people. So you had the whole Iranian elections in 2009, where on the one hand there was
Twitter
was going to be used to organize all the people, but then it turned out the government used Twitter to track all the people down, and so bang bang beat tweet tweet, in effect. Still,
Which is why you need to be 2 steps ahead.
There probably are a whole number of countries where there's just no transparency into what's going on at all, and so you don't know about it. So there's probably parts of Africa that were just
we
like
don't have
Equatorial
record.
Guinea.
In terms of no access, no internet access, no technology whatsoever, totally pitch black, it's Burma and North Korea. And it's sad because human rights is a field that has become so boring and so bureaucratized that it doesn't appeal to the young. It appeals mostly to people in suits that give speeches at the UN. And that's kind of like what we're trying to do here in terms of changing some of that and bringing people like you involved, and involving people like you. And it makes such a difference that people bring from their own fields, like you bring technology, all of that you bring in. I mean, you bring, the brain that defeated the IBM computer. As far as I'm concerned, these are vital elements for what we're doing. And I do believe you defeated it, by the way. Because I think cheating doesn't count,
It's a human. There was a case of violation of my human rights.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe we can call the UN. Maybe we can call the UN.
Yes.
One of the things I find so depressing about this topic is that so many places have just stayed disasters for such long periods of time, and when you have things that are corrupt or where human rights don't exist, there are cases where it changes, but it is not easy, and it's very, very hard, and there are relatively few examples of where things have gotten dramatically better. Haiti's been a disaster since it was independent in the early 19th century.
Well, it's also a certain racism to it, which is the racism of low expectations. We expect Haiti to be a disaster, so nobody holds them to account, and nobody puts a certain level of real expectations. Meet these or else. And their governments are just there to take and take. They all want to follow Duvalier's, having palaces in the south of France. Kind of reminds me of Mobutu.
Yeah.
This is a nasty business. It's not a very happy one. And the sad part is, any country can go from being a thriving democracy to be a thriving liberal democracy to being a dictatorship in the space of 10 years. Because obviously democratic doesn't necessarily mean rule.
Democratic means nothing, actually. In modern days, it's a word. It's a mere word that often covers up, the worst atrocities.
I wanted to show you something. This is a skateboard. So there's one for every part of the Declaration, the Universal Declaration, the good parts. And it's our way of trying to be cool with this. A friend of mine runs Amnesty in Norway, and he's the one that developed these. So this is the one for China. So I figure, as a gift, I'd give you the China skateboard, and you can have the Russia skateboard.
Why is China for him?
Why is China for him? Because, well, Russia's for you.
Yes.
Each country has a different chapter. What you need to do is add wheels if you actually want to use it. But
It's more.
a lot of people,
How many countries do they have on this?
they have 20 so far. They have Iran. They have. But on my trips to Norway, I'm not going to bring back 20 boards of wood. It's a little much.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the visit.
I'll call it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll call it.
Absolutely.
Thanks, okay.
Good stuff. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Have a great dinner.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Take.